Okay, we led with this. The Thunder obliterated the Lakers last night, and that wasn't the worst of it for LA. That's Luka Doncic leaving the game with a left hamstring injury, tweaked it in the first half, then injured it in the third quarter. He'll have an MRI today to determine the extent of the injury. We don't know how bad it is. So how that's going to impact the Lakers' chances in the playoffs is obviously the headline. But there's also this. Luka Doncic has played in 64 games this year. He's leading the league at 33.5 points per game. He has 8 triple-doubles. He needs to play at least 20 minutes in one more game this year to qualify for NBA awards. So in addition to the MVP, in case there's anyone who's watching this who's not aware, if you're going to be on any of the NBA, all NBA teams, first team, second team, third team, any of those postseason awards, which mean a lot, both in the moment for contracts and historical reference, you have to play to the 65-game threshold. And, Tim, you were making the point this morning, and so I'll give it to you to pick it up from there and run, that we are looking at a season in which a lot of the NBA's obvious best players and performances are going to be excluded.
Yeah, this isn't just about Luka Doncic. This is Cade Cunningham, who the Pistons announced last night is going to miss another week at least. He's not going to be eligible. Anthony Edwards had to miss last night's game because he's still dealing with that knee swelling. He's going to be ineligible for awards. There's no way you can watch this NBA season and wonder whether those guys are deserving of being on the All-NBA teams. Luka's leading the league in scoring. Ant's third. Cade Cunningham's been the driving force of a Detroit team that's the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And as J.B. Bickerstaff, the Pistons coach, has said on multiple times, I understand the intent of the rule, but this isn't right. And I do think the NBA has got to look at some sort of exceptions. There are some very specific exceptions written into the rule, but none of those apply to these guys. My suggestion, if a guy has 2,000 minutes played and a significant injury, they should be granted an exception to be eligible for awards and then leave it in the hands of the voters. But again, there's no way you're looking at the ballot and wondering if Luka Doncic is a first-team All-NBA player, wondering if Cade Cunningham and Anthony Edwards belong, you can argue first team, second team, somewhere on those ballots. Now, kind of a cruel twist here. That would have been Luka's 65th game, but he was suspended Monday night because of his 16th technical foul.
So there's that side of it as well. I am so torn because anyone who has ever paid attention to my shows going back to the Mike and Mike days, to me, load management is one of the worst things that has happened in sports in recent years. Players taking all these games off. That's why these rules are in place. And so I support the spirit of the rule completely. And if you're looking for someone to blame, that's who you blame. You blame the players themselves who have turned the regular season, who have made it seem so meaningless to play in all of these games that they put the league in a position where they had to put this rule in the first place. Adam Silver didn't wake up one morning and say, I think I'm just arbitrarily going to create a rule about postseason award eligibility. He had to do it to combat what was and is a significant NBA problem. Now, having said that, we also deal with the reality that, Tim, what you just said, I agree with. This is not what the rule was intended to adjust, to attack. This is not the problem it was trying to solve, and it creates another problem where if we put together all NBA teams that don't include the 3 names you just mentioned, it's somewhat farcical, right? It looks a little bit ridiculous. So how do you think they handle it? What do you think the league ultimately does here, Tim?
Yeah, it's almost becoming like the NFL's Pro Bowl, where it's like, how many injury, replacements do you need to get to? Is Shedeur Sanders going to be on the All-NBA team? But I think, again, this is something that the league is going to have to discuss. Adam Silver, when he was asked about this recently, was very firm that the rules having its intended effect, which is eliminating load management. But none of these are load management cases. And the one thing I would push back on is putting load management on the players. Load management, by and large, with few exceptions, those are organizational decisions. So this has put the pressure on organizations to play their stars. But again, how can the league not look at this, especially, this doesn't apply to any of these 3 specific cases, but there are supermax contract escalators tied to All-NBA. If you're going to mess with guys' money with this, the league's going to have some serious issues.
Yeah, that's an enormous piece of this. Some of these guys have already qualified for their supermaxes and all that, but it would impact younger players. There are betting implications involved in all this as well. Joe, what are they?
The one that everyone's looking at right now is the MVP award with SGA. He was a favorite a week to 2 weeks ago, minus 1,000. Now, you saw the surge with Wemby. You saw the big speech he gave. It was impassioned. The price dropped all the way to minus 360. But then we saw the performance last night, coupled with Wemby sitting out, and now you're up to minus 600. So I don't know if you necessarily want to make that play at the moment. But Tim Bontemps' straw poll recently came out. It's the best data point we've got. Con Knippel to win Offensive Rookie of the Year in the straw poll, runaway winner over Cooper Flagg. They didn't adjust that one as much. That's what I would look at. But as long as this rule is in place, you can monitor these awards markets throughout the course of the season and find great opportunities because of them.
Because the 65-game thing is going to make the decision one way or the other. Tim, stay close by. More NBA as we go, but we have the Final Fours ahead of us. Of course, the women will start tonight. We'll get to them a little bit later. I've got Jay Will with me here to look at the men's Final Four with tips off tomorrow night. Illinois taking on UConn in the first semifinal, and not surprisingly,
Hard to imagine, but quarterback makes people do funny things.
Cleveland.
Yes,
but the other obvious one to me, Greeny, is at 21 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll know, obviously, if Aaron Rodgers is there by then. But if I'm Mike McCarthy and I'm in year one, why would you not take Ty Simpson?
presumably we'll know that about Aaron by then. I suppose there's no guarantees. As we continue, we're going to talk about the Browns quarterback. Graziano, as I mentioned, is just back from the owners' meetings in Phoenix. So let's dive in with some Graziano's. And let us start with the Philadelphia Eagles. How much chatter was there about A.J. Brown around the various swimming pools that you guys are hanging out in Phoenix?
Yeah, a lot. The sense everyone seems to have is that after June 1st, when the cap hit would be less, the Eagles would consider trading him, and the Patriots are seemingly the team that everyone wants to connect him to. So Mike Vrabel was talking somewhat openly about it. Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni kept repeating the same thing, which is A.J. Brown is a member of the Eagles, like as if they were programmed to do it. Mm-hmm. So, but the cap hit drops significantly for Philadelphia if they wait till after June 1st. So unless somebody comes before the draft and blows them out of the water with an offer, I think this picks up again in the summer, and New England's the spot to watch.
Dominique, help me with both sides of that. Let's start with the Eagles. If the Eagles trade away A.J. Brown, and we may get some clues here depending on what they do in the draft,
sure,
take some receivers, et cetera, et cetera. But what would that mean to you? What would that mean for the Eagles, who are a Super Bowl aspiring team, if they trade away A.J. Brown?
Yeah, I mean, I think the automatic response is that they got a little bit worse, but I imagine that with the new offensive coordinator, they'll try to construct the offense around Devontae Smith as being their number one. They added Hollywood Brown in the offseason, who's another dynamic athlete that they could make plays with. And of course, they still have Saquon Barkley, but I think it does lessen the power of their offense. But sometimes if the offense can evolve some, it can still be just as or more effective, because fundamentally the best part of this Eagles offense when it was at its best was the O-line. So that's the most important part. Getting that right, I think, allows everything else to fall into place.
If you're Howie Roseman, are you trading A.J. Brown?
Nope. I'm calling in A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and Sean Mannion. We're going to have a little family business screening.
Okay.
And we're going to sit there and say, hey, we're going to either succeed together or we could all be gone. So A.J. Brown's too talented. At 29 years old, he is a frontline difference maker and a cautionary tale. Braz mentioned Mike Vrabel. When they traded him in Tennessee, they're still trying to replace him. They tried it with Treylon Burks. So we're in the business of collecting good players, and let's try to make it work. You have a new offensive coordinator. Let's reset it.
You mentioned, by the way, the Vrabel of it all. Ironically, but not coincidentally, he would be on the other side of this, proposed thing if it happens. What would that mean in New England, Dominique? If all of a sudden you add A.J. Brown to this Patriot team that was in the Super Bowl last year, what does that mean?
It's all the things that Mike T just said, just for the other team. He is a top-line playmaker. I think he also mentioned that he's 29, which is close to 30, which is the age where people tend not to love paying their high-profile ex-receivers anymore. But I think he still has something in the tank. When he gets opportunities on deep routes and contested catches, there are very few players in the league as dynamic and effective as A.J. Brown. So I think this team gets better offensively if they can add him to the lineup.
Yeah, the key thing to pay attention to is the price. The Eagles are not of a mind of wanting to give away A.J. Brown. So if there is a sense that they know what they could get in a trade from the Patriots or anybody else, then maybe that's where the sort of calm around this situation is set in.
Greeny, here's a sense of urgency for New England. Drake May is going to year 3 on a rookie deal. In another year, that number could skyrocket. Their window to win is right now. They signed Romeo Doubs.
Yeah.
They moved on from Stephon Diggs. If you could get A.J. Brown with that nucleus of Ramondre Stevenson, Hunter Henry, they can be right back in the Super Bowl. So if a team's going to pay a premium, New England's the ideal spot.
Okay, yeah, they were ahead of schedule, so go for it right now while the going is good. I like that one. That's good. We'll get back to their quarterback part of it a little later. I want to get to the Cleveland quarterback situation, though, with you here, Graz. Coming out of